No. Hello, and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show tonight. I have a great topic that came to me. I'm speaking at 2 conferences next month, and I had to come up with a topic, and this is the topic I came up with. So you're going to get a preview of my presentation that I'm going to be giving next month. And the topic is the battle for your soul. Womp, womp, womp. But did you know, and you might not realize it, but there's a battle going on inside of you. And it's a fight between your connection to the divine and your animal soul or your ego. And what's the battle about? It's the battle about controlling your attention and controlling your body. Didn't think that could happen, could you? You just think that there's one thing going on, but nope, there's not. And so when we're connected to the divine, when we have that connection to source, to God, to our higher self, to the cosmic conscious, whatever word you want to put there, we feel happy. And we're content, and we're not easily flustered. And we find that we're living in the present moment, in the here and now, and not caught up in a whole bunch of other stuff. And when we're connecting to the divine soul, it reminds us, it doesn't push us to do things, it just suggests things and reminds us. Or as I was talking about a few weeks ago, when I was talking about connecting to spirit, it sometimes will nag and tell us the same thing over and over and over again. To do something. If we ask a question and we get an answer and we get that same answer, it's coming from source. It's coming from the divine. And I'm using animal soul, but ego, same thing. When we're connected to the animal soul, it creates issues about what's going on, especially if it feels like it's losing control and it starts fighting like it's losing its life. The ego lives in a place of fear, and it lives on our perceptions, usually negative perceptions. It tells us stories. When our ego is engaged, especially if it is in this fight place, it activates our inner critic that tells us all these nasty and terrible things about ourselves, how ugly we are and how fat we are and how stupid we are, and all these things that just bring our energy down, because it fills us with negative thoughts, it fills us with anxiety, and fills us with fear. And all of those things knock us out of alignment. They knock us out of being present. They knock us out of being centered. And when we're knocked out of being in that space, we can't connect to the divine. Period. That's just how it works. And so what I'm going to talk about next is about how the soul devolves. And this information comes out of Kabbalistic texts. Where I first learned about it was in a series of books called Lessons in Tanya, which I found fascinating to the point that I bought the 5-book set for kind of a lot of money, but it was worth it. But you can actually find the daily portion of the Lessons in Tanya online. If you just type in Lessons in Tanya, usually it comes from Chabad.org. But this devolution of the soul comes from a Kabbalistic perspective. And so they contend that when we're born, we're naturally and automatically connected to the divine. We're tied to that source energy. But then life happens. We have life experiences. We get yelled at for some reason. Grandma dies. We get hurt. Those things can taint and shade what's going on inside. But then there's also this level of programming that happens from the world around us that tells us, all children need to be quiet, and these rules that are put in place that are not necessarily supporting our happiness, our ability to be who we are and be in our integrity. And so if there's a rule that's put in place and it really upsets us, but it's enforced, we will take that on and structure ourselves in order to deal with this rule. And I don't have an example, but I think I need to come up with an example when I give this presentation so it'll make more sense. Anyway, but as life goes on and these situations happen, especially if it's reinforced and reinforced, so you do something and your mom says, oh, well, you were just really stupid, and then something else happens, you get a bad grade on a test, and it just brings up your mom's voice in your head that says, oh, well, I'm just really stupid, and we tend to, when we're in that lower state, look for things to validate these programs because it's a program. It's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily that you're stupid, but you took on this program and now you're going through life with the assumption that I'm stupid. I don't matter. I'm invisible. I mean, we all have these ideas inside of us that aren't necessarily truth. They're just the story that we've told ourselves over and over again, and we look for validation of it in the world around us. But this shift, it happens really slowly. It's very rare that a situation can happen that would cause our soul to devalue, like, boom, it's gone. Now, we can have trauma that can really impact us, but it doesn't necessarily affect our soul. And so, so this happens very slowly. And in Kabbalah, they suggest that as we move from connecting to the divine, we establish this series of shells. So every time something happens, every time we feel stupid, we maybe put this little shell around us, kind of as a form of protection, I guess. They call it Kelipots, Kelipots. I don't know if that's actually like how you say it in Hebrew. I call it Kelipots, chalupa. I like chalupa myself. But anyway, but these shells are like Russian nesting dolls. So there's you, like, there I am, all sweet and cute and attached to the divine. And then stuff happens and you get a shell. And something else happens and you get a shell. And it's not like every time you feel dumb, you get a shell, but in these moments that are impactful in our lives, how's that? And the more layers you have, the further from the divine you become. The more clouded that connection becomes, but it also makes you become closer to that animal soul. It makes it so that the appeal and the enticement of the ego becomes more intense. And as these things form, we become more separated. We become more disconnected from source. Further down we go, we can't even get sustenance from the divine. So I'm sure everybody's heard of like chi and prana, and life force energy that runs through us, which animates us. It is part of our animating self. But the further down we go, the more obstructed that flow of energy becomes. It's one of the reasons why people get sick, because that flow of energy becomes slowed down. But it also, on a mental and emotional level, makes it so that you're more separated. You become much more materialistic. because you're not connected to the divine. I find that people that are shrouded in their chalupas tend to not really have a lot of integrity because they're always looking out for things from their own personal vantage point. And so some of you guys might recognize it because the further down you go, you might become an energy vampire because you can't get that sustenance from the divine. And so now you have to start looking out around you to become full, to feel satisfied on the inside. The further down you go, you start to become, really more narcissistic, and you become consumed in the protection of the ego because people that are narcissistic are surrounded by ego. And a narcissist will take what they want to fill that inner world. And it's because they're so far from the divine, they have no empathy and compassion, and they'll only take, they take because they want to fill that void that they feel inside. And they take it from you, where if we're closer to the divine, we can get it from source. So you might say, okay, that was really interesting, which I did think that was really pretty interesting conversation. We talk about how to stay connected to the divine on this show a lot, practicing mindfulness, tapping, breathing, if you find yourself caught up in those negative thoughts, if the inner critic starts activating, if you're not in the present moment, you are actually more caught up in that animal soul and the working of the ego than you're being connected to source. And so sometimes you just need to acknowledge that, notice that, oh, I'm getting caught up in my ego. Okay, maybe I don't need to do that anymore. And sometimes just that little piece of awareness will allow you to shift it, because it's really all about awareness. So I found this topic very interesting. It's part of my Dang, It Was Me All Along book, or Dang, It Was Me All Along, where I talk about that topic in much more detail. And it gives you, there's a lot more to it than what I just talked about. But I think that kind of gives you a flavor because it's really kind of an interesting topic. And no one really talks about it at all. At all. Anyway, so with that said, I would like to share that this show is brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's appliedenergeticsinstitute.com. And you can go on that website, which is my website, and download your free Jumpstart Your Intuition guide. It's available on the website. You just go there, click on the link, and it'll give you an opportunity to download it. And you can start learning to become a medical intuitive counselor, or energy medicine practitioner from the comfort of your own home. Okay, but it's also brought to you by me, soulhealer.com. So if there's stuff going on in your life that you would like to get some insights about, please drop me a line. We can set up a time to schedule a private consultation. All of my books, including Dang, It Was Me All Along, are available on that website, plus tons of articles and stuff like that. And if you are listening to the show in a recorded format and aren't here live, but would like to join the live, the easiest place to go is YouTube, and go to my YouTube channel, which is Just Energy Radio on YouTube. 3 words, Just Energy Radio, at 7 p.m. Central every Thursday night. Click the live button and join the fun and hang out and get a free on-air psychic reading from me. Anyway, isn't that fun? Okay, so there's lots of comments in here already. And so I'm just going to, so if you're new here, and you would like to get a reading, just type in the box, hey, Dr. Rita, you have great hair. I would like a reading, and then provide me with a number between 1 and 3. Just 1 and 3, not 5, not 7. And I would really appreciate it if you want to communicate with me, that you type in all capital letters so I can separate out what's chatter in the background and what I actually need to pay attention to, because sometimes it gets pretty busy in here. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list. I'm just going to say hi. If they want a reading, I'm just going to stop and do the reading at that moment. And today, ding, 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 ERRT Radio was our big winner. He was the first one here. Not that I'm encouraging you all to get here super early, like some people do. But he would like a 3. And see, he did all nice capital letters. Thank you, ERRT Radio. Okay, let's see. All right, so here's your card for today. Interesting. So ERRT Radio, what you're showing me is that you have been kind of heading in a direction, or thinking about heading in a direction. But I feel like after not putting that much energy into it and not that much effort into it, that you came to the realization that it wasn't, you weren't feeling it. That's the best way I can describe it. You weren't feeling it, and you've kind of backed up a little bit and are reevaluating what's going on. And it doesn't mean that where you were going is totally dropped out. Maybe you're just reconsidering it and repositioning it and getting a different angle on it. Maybe it's going to be something completely different. But I just feel like you are kind of in a bit of an assessment phase. But good job, because you weren't feeling it. And you caught it really early before you went down this whole road and went, oh, I'm really not feeling it. And I just spent a month on this. So good job. Good job. All right. Mr. B and Friends. Hey, Mr. B and Friends. All right. Master Player Radio and Television would like a number 1. Okay. All right, Master Player, that's your card for today. And as always, anyone that I do a reading for, if it's resonating with you, if it seems like I'm hitting, if I provide you some insight and guidance, please let me know. I just really appreciate the feedback. Okay, Master Player. Okay, so I'm not quite sure how to express this, but I'm going to try my best. So I feel like there's all this stuff going on in your mind, and you're kind of feeling a little bit like a crazy man because you're not nailing anything down. And I feel like things keep rotating and moving, and you think you're going to do this, but then 5 minutes later you're thinking about this, and then there's too much going on in there. I would like to suggest, to help slow it down, to help slow down that mental process, write it down, make a list, get it out of your head onto a piece of paper so that you can look at it and kind of be with each item and sort it out that way, because it's moving so fast that you're not able to sort anything out. And so I feel like putting it down will give you that opportunity that you're really looking for, whether you should go or not go with the choice. Okay, cool. Good one. All right. Hey, Karen, how are you? And she says, hi, Dr. Rita. Hope you had a good week. Can I please get a reading number 2? Thank you. You're welcome, Karen. Karen, that's your card for today. Now I'm going to be curious what's going on with you. Okay, interesting. So, Karen, I'm just sensing some, I'm going to be nice and say frustration in your space, some anger in your space. I feel like there's part of you that wants to fight, but then you really don't want to waste the energy fighting. I feel like you know that you could like turn around and walk away, uh, which would maybe be the more adult thing to do. But then there's this other part of you that's like, no, but I don't want to. I want to kick their ass. Um, perhaps there's a middle of the road place that you can get to. Perhaps you can get yourself into a more neutral place, get yourself a little more present, a little more grounded inside of you with relationship to this situation, and make a decision from that. Maybe ask spirit what you should do, but interact, because I really feel like for your integrity perspective, you need to say or do something, but I feel like you're just a little too hot right now. So if you can calm down and ask, what would be the more higher path to addressing this, because I feel like you walked away before and you don't want to walk away, like you're tired of that as your reaction to stressful things in your life. So just calm it down and be with the situation and ask. And ask. Cool. Now I'm really curious what that's about. All right. Unar. Unar said, good evening, everyone. Hi, Dr. Rita. Can you pick a two for me tonight? I sure can, Unar. Oh, and while I'm shuffling here for a second, so I started, and it's not in my little page thing yet, a Substack, um, a Substack account, and so I have been releasing. It's a multi-part series called Google's Health Heist: How Big Tech Stole My Voice and Yours, and I just released section 4. It's a 7-part series. And then there's another one coming right on the heels of that. So I've been posting it on Facebook. Facebook took it down. I can't post it on YouTube. But I would love it if you join my Substack group, or, followed me on Substack. And I have to tell you, I'm really liking Substack. They're cool people. It's not like Twitter where, I don't know, anything that shows up on my feed is political, political, political. This has got metaphysical people and healer people, and I don't know, it's just way more chill, way more our kind of people. Just saying. All right, Unar, that's your card for today. All right, let's see. So Unar, I just feel like you have kind of pulled your energy back. If you could be a bump on a log, or a fly on the wall watching stuff that's going on, that's kind of how I'm seeing your energy right now. I feel like you kind of pulled yourself kind of into the shadows, where you're not interacting with people, but you're still observing people, but you're keeping a really small footprint. I'm not feeling like it's coming from a traumatic place. I don't feel like it's coming from a bad place at all. I just feel like, you're in observer mode, and it's just a better place, a better vantage point for you to be in. So it's actually kind of cool. So keep up the good work, I guess. I don't know. You guys are being really interesting tonight. I want to hear all the backstories on some of this stuff. Okay. Hey, Karen. Nice to see you. All right. And Christine's here. Hello. May I have a reading number 2, please? Yes, you may. Oh, and you guys, what do you think of my intro presentation thing today? I thought it was a really interesting topic, or it is a really interesting topic to kind of look at. Okay, Christine, number 2. Here's your card for today. So, Christine, I'm sensing a little confusion in your space as well. I feel like you're not quite sure what's up and what's down. I want to validate the fact that you are being with the energy, that you're not being upset with you or upset with the energy. I feel like you're just kind of going with it. I feel like it's a cycle that you're in right now, and it's not going to change today or tomorrow. I feel like it's going to be a couple of weeks before it's going to shift into something else, or you'll get the answer that you're looking for. So just stay cool with it, because it will change, and you will it will ground out. So I get the impression that where you're at right now, excuse me, in the past has been a very uncomfortable place for you. And so again, I want to validate that you're just being with this energy. And being with the energy is being present with it and is being mindful with it. And so if you think there's something weird going on, it's like I feel like you're like working on a test right now, to see if you're going to react, but I'm not getting that you're reacting. So I think you're passing the test. So I'm like I said, I feel like it's going to be another week to 2 weeks before all of this completes. Backstories, guys. God, these are good readings today. Hello, Miss Kim. And everybody, this is Kim, and it's her birthday today. So everybody say hi to Miss Kim. Hi, Kim. Happy birthday. And then she said, no, I have no control. Hey, Nancy. Nice to see you. Hi, Drusilla. Good evening. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go back. Kim, you're going to get a reading, and you want a number one. A number one, because it's your birthday. Let's see. Wait. I'm going to do Johnny Carson. It's your birthday today. I know you love me. Okay, here's your card. Okay. So, Kim, one of the things that you're showing me is kind of this restlessness that you're. All right, everybody say hi, Raylan and Coop. Anyway, this restlessness that you're experiencing. I feel like you're feeling the restlessness, but you haven't come up with a solution of what you can do to satisfy that kind of discomfort. I mean, I just feel like you need to be doing something. I mean, even though I know you're always freaking busy, but I feel like you're ready for like a change of scenery, maybe go on a vacation. I'm just feeling like you're ready for something different, something new and exciting. Doesn't have to, and I'm feeling like it doesn't have to be for a long time, but it needs to be something, And I'm going to say, and I just keep feeling like you just really want to get the hell out of your house. So there's that. And if that He-Man is listening, you heard me. Take her out of the house. Because I love you. Okay. All right. But going on. Drusilla, nice to see you. And it's Ricky. And he says, hello, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday evening and happy first day of spring. Like to ask for a number 2, please. You sure can, Ricky. Ooh, I was having a psychic moment on you, Ricky. I'm like, he's going to get a mask card. And I did not try to get that. It just is what came up. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this card here. I liked this card too, but it wasn't the total answer. Okay, so Ricky, I get the impression that there's something that you would like to do, um, but and where you want to put your energy. But I feel like there's a lot of story around it. There's a certain level of fear. Um, I'm going to phrase it. I'm going to come at this in a slightly different way. I feel like you are being led by spirit, being led by divine to go do something. And every time you look at it, and if you listen to my intro thing, your ego keeps stepping in and saying, "Oh, that's too hard. Oh, what about this? Oh, what about that?" And putting the nix on it over and over and over again. But it's about this fantasy. It's about this dream. It's about this goal that you have. And my feeling is the way to clear it is to just do it. You just need to do it, and just not listen to the chatter, because the chatter will be chatter, will be chatter, will be chatter and chatter, and it won't go away. Every time you ask, it's just going to be there bugging the crap out of you. So my suggestion to you is just do it and be done. Take that first step, take that leap, because once you open the door and once you step through, it's a done deal. It's set in motion. So just do it. All right, Marco, what do you think? Good hair today, I think. All right, there we go. Rita, your hair looks amazing. How do you get better looking each week? It's because I have the portrait of Dorian Gray in my closet, and that's just how I fly. Chris, I was just thinking about you today. Hey, how are you? And hey, Shannon. I'm so glad to see you guys. This makes my heart happy. And Kim says, welcome to the most bipolar day of the year. Winter, spring, death, birth, water, fire, Aries, Pisces. Okay. And Marco says, I was having a Mexican the other day and had a chalupa, Rita. I only think of chalupas from Taco Bell. That's all I can really think of as far as chalupas. Okay. So Ohora says, because see, she wrote in capital letters. Hi, Dr. Rita. You look fantastic. Blessing. May I have a reading, please? Number 2. Thank you very much, and cheers. You sure can, because you typed in capital letters. If I can get the cards to shuffle. And so, Chris, you've been here before, so you know the whole reading thing. Oh, I see Vesta down there too. Shannon, if you would like to get a reading, just put in the comment thing, I'd like to get a reading, and a number from 1 to 3 in capital letters. Oh, I was doing it too. Okay, so Ahura, this is your card for today. Okay. So Ahura, okay, so I'm getting this kind of uncomfortable feeling. I'm feeling like you feel very alone and very lonely. So I don't know if you have ever reached out to any support groups or have tried to find a community online or something to kind of fill that space inside of you. I'm just going to leave it there because we're public, and I'm just going to leave it there. But I think you hear what I'm saying, okay? All right, so Drusilla's here and she says, I need some insight. Number 2, please. Okay, you sure can. 2. Ooh, mask card on the bottom. Let's keep it there. It flew from the bottom up to the top. Actually, there are 5 of these in the deck. Sorry, Drusilla. Okay, but let's see. Ooh. All right, so I pulled one. You got a double mask. Okay, so not too bad. Just a big old block in there. And that was the card I'm going to read. Drusilla, you are like totally getting in your own way. I feel like your inner critic is bashing the hell out of you. So I would like for you to recognize that all of that negative chatter inside of you, you can control, and every time it starts to come up, do some tapping, do some breathing, do some exercise, do anything to stop it, to intercept it, to even sit there and go, oh, I have negative chatter going on. I feel like, actually, I feel like this is kind of like a weird new place for you, or you haven't been here in quite a while, and so really haven't had to deal with it. I'm feeling like learning to deal with it is part of the lesson for you at this point in time. And the bigger thing is to not fight it. I mean, it is what it is. And when you fight it, it just makes it be worse. And it just makes it be more intense, which is the double mask card. And I am feeling like there's a good cry kind of hidden down in there underneath whatever this is that got triggered. I mean, I'm just feeling like you really got triggered. So acknowledge the trigger, acknowledge that you are triggered, acknowledge that there's stuff going on, because it's okay to be triggered and it's okay to be upset, but when things like that happen, that's the time, those are the opportunities that we can use to really start understanding what makes us tick, so use it and learn. Drusilla, I hope that makes sense. Okay, and Paul's here. Hey, Paul, glad you could make it. And Vesta said, hey, Miss Rita, card, please. You picked the number. I don't know. You're telling me number 1. Number 1. Jeez. We're on a roll here. Ooh, double G's. All right, hang on. This one flew out. All right, this one flew out, but I'm liking this one. So, Best, I feel like there's some stuff going on with your dad right now that has you really concerned. I feel like if it was anybody else, you would have already bolted and ran. But it's your dad, and so you're not. And I feel like you're feeling a little conflicted with your feelings about him and life and stuff, but what you're feeling is very normal for people, that are acting as caretakers, because you can't just dump them. You can't just, I mean, you could, but you won't. Yeah. So, yeah. Not really sure what to say, especially, sometimes stuff comes up that's just, to me, too personal to put out on YouTube and everywhere else. And so I'm just going to keep it. I'm just going to keep it to myself. And then if you ask me, oh, well, what were you talking about? You think I'm going to remember like in 2 seconds? No, not. Okay, ERRT Radio says, wow, thank you. Right on point. You are so welcome. All right. Hey, Gary. And he would like a reading. You're not getting a 4. Gary, it only goes to 3. So you max out at 3. 1, 2, 3. Because, you know, that's how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop. Okay. All right. That's your card for today. All right, Gary. So, Gary, this is just, all right, this is going to sound weird, and I hope this resonates with you, but I just feel like there's a part of you that that feels upset, like that you're angry or frustrated. I don't know. There's discontent and discord inside. And I feel like it's really kind of irritating you. What's interesting is I do feel like there's a timeline on this. And so maybe there's something going on in your life that is creating this. But in the same breath, you know that it's going to be ending, but you're not liking it because I feel like you're not liking you and your happiness is being affected by the situation. You know, I mean, there's a couple of choices. There's, you know, move into observer mode and just kind of disconnect emotionally. There is to accept, well, this is what it's going to be for whatever this period of time is. And instead of having it upset you, just kind of go with it, even if it's sucky, you know, or to walk away. I mean, those are the choices. Which I'm not really feeling like that's a choice that you would want to make. So I'm sorry that it's kind of sucky right now for you. Okay. Unar said, you mentioned tapping. What is that? So Unar, I actually did a show on tapping, but there's a lot of information online, and like YouTube has videos about it. And tapping is a technique where you literally tap on different points, and I talk about it in, dang, it was me all along, on different points in your body, and they're very specific points. And the way I like to do it is I just count from 1 to 7, you know, like repeatedly till I feel the energy shift. There are a lot of people that will use affirmations and, you know, like, even though I feel like crap, I love and honor myself. I don't totally dig the affirmations personally, but that's what there is. But no, go on like YouTube and you'll find some information. Okay. So Master Player says, I'm always overloaded all the time. No time for myself in today's world. I would love at time to have time for myself and really enjoy it. Thank you, Rita, for the reading. Well, Master Player, the only way that you're going to have time for yourself is if you pencil yourself in on the calendar. And so I would highly recommend that you pencil yourself in on the calendar, even if it's just a half hour once a week, you know, but something to recharge that bank. Because if you're constantly taking money out of savings, eventually that account is going to go empty. But when you go and you do things for yourself and you take care of yourself, even if it's in a small way, it's like you're repaying that account. And usually when you do that, you're repaying it with dividends. Okay? Okay, so Paul says, I'd like a number 3P and a little assessment of what I'm missing to work on. Okay, so you're going to get a number 3. Not quite sure what your comment was, but you only ever get the number. So hopefully the number will answer your question. And it's a 3. Okay. And that's your card for today. Uh, so, unlike Master Player, Paul, I feel like you have been being much more intentional of taking care of and nurturing yourself. I feel like it's a work in progress. I feel like it's something new. I feel like you're having to put energy into it. I feel like it's still a little uncomfortable for you to do that, which is absolutely normal and not unexpected. Um, and so I think what you're missing is the time element, for these things to really take hold and for things to, for you to really start noticing the shift, if you pay attention, that is. It just takes time. So just keep doing what you're doing because I feel like it is having an effect. I feel like your life is calmer, that you are less stressed out, that you can actually breathe in there somewhat, and so just keep doing and maybe doing that a little bit more. So cool. So again, if these readings are making sense to you, please give me some feedback. I always love that. All right. All right. And it's Don. So Don wasn't sure if he was going to be here today, but he is. He is. Hi, Don. Okay. Ooh, Don. All right. So that's your card for today. Okay, interesting. So Don, I have a little bit of homework for you. So I feel like you're a little aggravated on the inside, a little frustrated on the inside. However, I feel like if you, and actually I would love for you to do this right now. I'm not even going to say this. Don, I would like for you to rate on a scale of 1 to 10, with like 0 being you're out in the field picking flowers, to 10 to being in the depth of your despair and like when you're in your bad energy place. Where are you now? Where is that level of anger and frustration? Because I feel like it feels like a lot in this moment. But when I take a step back and look at kind of the overall of Dawn, I feel like it is way less than places that you have the ability and capability of going. And so own that, and have that be okay. But I want you to notice it. The most important thing is not what I'm saying. It's about you noticing it and you being aware that, yeah, you're in a bad place, but the rabbit hole is over there. And it seems like the rabbit hole keeps getting further and further away. Acknowledge it, notice it, honor it, because the further the rabbit hole gets away from, or the further you get away from the rabbit hole, the healthier you're going to be. Ha ha ha. I'm so glad you came so I could share that with you. All right, Unar says, I can relate to my reading. It's a really good one. Thanks again. You are so welcome. Karen said, really like the topic, gave me a greater understanding of the ego. I found it fascinating, that whole thing about the shells and how it separates you from source and from any kind of light. Kim says, hi and thank you. You're welcome, Kim. Christine says, very on point. Kim is in Facebook. Okay, so Kim, Christine said, happy birthday. Okay, Ahura says, I think to talk about the danger of being in touch with narcissists was related to how to maintain mental health and emotional safety and health. Thanks for the advice. You are so welcome. I did snort. Okay. Let's see. Okay, and so a horse said happy birthday too. I think there were a couple other happy birthdays, but I wasn't paying attention. So Gary said happy birthday, but he's on Facebook. So Kim says, yes, I'm in need of a break after the last 3 months. I can only imagine. Hey, Master Cylinder, it's been a while. Wow, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. So nice to see you here. Insights into long-term bizarre nightwear, like every night for months. Okay, so I'm not really answering questions anymore. You know, I can pull a card for you, which I will, Sandra. And I'm not really like a dream person anyway. Because I don't really, I mean, I know I dream, but I don't remember my dreams, so it's hard for me to make commentary on that. But let's just see. Let's just see what's coming up, because you know, usually if you're having bad dreams, there's some emotional thing sitting underneath it. So let's see what that pulls up. Okay. All right, and that's your card for today. And I am going to re-lozenger because my throat is getting scratchy. So Sandra, so I don't know if this, you know, like, you know, or I don't think it necessarily has to do with the theme of the nightmares, but I feel like it might have to do with what's activating them, you know, but I feel like there's something that there's, I'm going to say, a decision that you made, but you're not really liking the choice that the decision is offering you. And so it's just kind of sitting in there, kind of bubbling up in the background. You know, and and I'm going to say this, and I know that this is so super hard, but it's kind of like you're to the place where, excuse me, you need to put your big girl panties on and just do it, because it is impacting you on a lot of different levels, including your dream space. It's being infiltrated. And instead of being in this, like, constantly thinking about it and being concerned about it, it'll be done. You know, you'll wipe it off the plate, and it'll be something in the past and not being active in the present. You know, I feel like you keep trying to justify, well, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? But your soul keeps saying, this is what I need to do. And you know, I had a client the other day, and she was like, I'm so confused, but I need to get a divorce. I'm like, well, then what are you confused about? You know, because she already decided she needed to get a divorce, but there were these other things that were confusing. So I know you know the answer, but there's other things that are keeping you kind of locked into this spot. And I feel like that's what is creating this turbulence inside of you. And I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. Hey, Rita, it's Rita. And then Rita says, I would like a reading number 2. Okay. Okay, and that's your card for today. Okay. So Rita, I get the impression, and I'm not sure if this is the right word to put with this, that you're feeling kind of bored or feeling kind of stuck, that you're not really seeing any, like, possibilities. You know, like, I'm on this road and this road looks crappy, you know, but I'm on this road, so I have to stay on this road. And I feel like you're not even, like, asking the question, what else is there out there, or what else can I do? Because because I feel like there's this world of possibilities around you, but you're not looking, you're not seeing, you're not anything because you're on this road and that's all you're seeing right now. And the thing is, it's like you're not even like digging the road, you know, it just seems really boring. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is that it's really boring. And I feel like there are things that want to enliven you and enliven your life that are around you. And they're a little afraid to kind of peek their head in and say, hey, Rita, maybe you should do this because you have a history of knocking them down and not ever doing them. And so if something comes up like, hey, maybe I should do this, look at it, play with it, feel into it, and make a decision from a more heartfelt place versus, no, I'm on this really boring road and I need to stay here. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Ricky says, thanks. Hey, Debbie, how are you? All right, Deb, I know that you wanted a reading and you're going to get a number 3 because I'm running out. Ooh, you are my last reading for today, the last one. And I'm just going to like kind of cruise through the rest. So no more readings after this. 2. And Deb, I really hope you will listen to the beginning part because I think it will absolutely make sense to you. As I was working on it, you were totally in my head. So there. All right, that's your card for today. Well, this is interesting. So the energy you're showing me, and I'm not even sure what to connect this to, but is this energy of subservience and this energy of begging, you know, like, oh, please pay attention to me, or, oh, please. And you're not really getting it back. I feel like it's a really powerless position. Which I feel makes you feel sick because you don't like being there. So that might be where the feel sick part comes from. Yep. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. So let's see. O'Hore says, I wonder if I should be careful about any matter in the community that recently I volunteered there. All right. That's kind of cryptic and kind of asking me a psychic question. I feel like you need to open yourself up to that community and have them be part of you. Karen says, reading makes sense, though I was expecting to hear about a physical issue I'm having and concerned about. And I'll never talk about a physical issue on here. And so if you have a question like that, you know, please do go to my webpage, soulhealer.com, and reach out to me and schedule a private consultation. And so Val says, hello. And is this a psychic reading? Well, it was a psychic reading, but I'm going to be signing out here. Okay. Gary says, live just sucks sometimes. You are right now with my reading. You're so welcome. Horace says, as you accurately said, I feel very much lonely. Paul says, makes sense. Thank you very much. Don says, I'm at 7 right now. But Don, 7 is better than 10. Just saying. Drusilla says, thank you for all tonight. Happy birthday, Kim. Don says, thank you. That's why I'm here. And I love your show and you. And I love you too, Don. ERRT Radio says, happy birthday, Kim. Master Player says, happy birthday, Kim. Karen says, reading makes sense, though I already read that. Lola, you're too late because I'm signing off. I should have already signed off. So come next week. Call me, whatever. Okay, let's see. Okay, next week. Next week. Okay. Done reading. So anyway, gotta do this. Where's that? Gotta go. Okay. So anyway, if you'd like to schedule a private consultation, I mean, what comes up in the cards comes up in the cards. If there's something specific you need to know, please go to my webpage, soulhealer.com, and set up a time for a private consultation. You know, we can really dig into what's going on. Even a 15-minute session is going to be better than just going around not really knowing what's going on. Again, it's also brought to you by the Applied Energetic Institute, where you can download my free 50-page guide called Jumpstart Your Intuition on that website. And, oh, and I forgot to do this. You know, and if this is working for you, I would love it if you would leave a little something, something in the tip jar. You can do that by going to soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. And you can use PayPal or the online checkout. And I would just love it if you did it. Anyway, guys, that's the show for today. I will see you all next week. Until then, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.